Get your man the flute to play song, the fuck.
Dear Gwitch everyone, Kajima Tashiv, and welcome back to episode number 105 of the Inline G Flute Podcast with me, your host, motherfucking Inline G. It is fucking roasting here in Germany today, in fucking sunny Cologne. It's like 32 degrees at the minute. I am dying. I've also got an apartment where I'm in like the very top, as you can see in my studio here. Say nothing. And it's fucking roasting. Man, the sun is out there splitting the fucking trees, and there's a bunch of hipsters sitting right there. You can probably hear every word I'm saying right now. They're smoking cigarettes out their window and drinking wine, and they look like they're having a great time. I've talked about them before. They're wonderful people, and I'm so jealous. So you'll also notice if you're watching this podcast that it's broad daylight. It's actually not, but I'm recording. Normally I record when it gets dark because I like to be able to control the light, and it makes a much more aesthetically pleasing scenario or circumstance. But needs must tonight because one, as per fucking usual, the podcast meant to come out in 3.5 hours and I haven't recorded fucking diddly squat. Alright, so that's urgency is number one, and number two, it's 8:30. I've been invited to go to the pub at 9:15, so I guarantee this episode is going to be under 40 minutes because I need to get to that fucking pub because those pints are not going to drink themselves. Okay, so the main reason is I need to go to the pub. I need to get out because it's going to be so pathetic to you lads, but my girlfriend's out of town. And I'm like a wee fucking lost dog walking around Cologne, walking around Germany, just going, pint? Anyone take me for a pint? And now someone's texting me going, you fancy a pint? So you're fucking right, I do. I am running to that pub. I'm going to smoke things I shouldn't smoke and talk to people I shouldn't talk to. So we're going to wrap this up quickly. Because I'm a fucking balloon. Now, the good news is today's episode has been written for a while, and it kind of wrote itself because it's something I fucking love. It's one of my, even that process, that's one of my favorite things about creating a podcast is the creative process when it runs like that. When these episodes like today, they warrant that creative process. Like people ask me all the time, how do I choose the themes for the episodes or how do I write the episodes? I have a note in my phone, like a fucking iPhone note, just with like a couple of ideas for episodes. They're like 3 words long. You know, just a couple of words. And basically what I do is every day I go out for a walk. Before I start my day, I go for an hour's walk, walking around the park there, and turn my headphones off, don't listen to any music, and just let the ideas come. I talk to myself a lot as well. And then sometimes ideas come and I stick them in a note in my phone. Great. That's it. I let them come to me. And then I go and flesh them out and pull on the fucking strings and see what happens to me. But today's episode has actually ended up pretty much fully fucking formed in my head for like 15 minutes. Once I thought of the idea of this episode, I firstly thought, why the fuck haven't I done this yet? And secondly, this is going to be so much fun to write. Not even write, it's just up there. Down there's for dancing. So the origin of this episode is from 2 places actually. Number one, my best friend, Jade Garcia, who has been on this podcast in the episode, I think it's Cats and the Flute or Cats and Classical Music with Jade, or Jade, if you're going to pronounce it anglicized. She's actually writing an article at the minute for, well, I'll not say too much, but she's writing an article anyway, that is going to be talking about the opera Salome by Richard Strauss. So this has been on my brain a lot, this opera. I fucking love this opera. And number 2, it's a common name, a fairly common name, especially in Europe, maybe not in Ireland, but in Europe, certainly, mainland Europe. And I've met a Salome recently, and it's brought it back into my brain. And the main thing is because I actually met 2 girls at once recently, and one was called Salome, and well, the other one wasn't. And I confused the 2 in my head after the first time I met them because I'm not good with names in general. And I knew one of them was Salome, and I thought the other one was Salome because I have such a clear, fixed, vivid image in my head of what a Salome looks like because of the opera and the theatre piece that we're going to talk about today. And it actually turned out I was wrong. The one I thought was Salome was not Salome, and the other one looks more like a Salome. So now when I meet them, well, now it's fine, but for a while when I met them, I had to think, right, look at the one that's Salome and then call the other one Salome. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Because it just fitted that mental aesthetic I have of that name. So I've been Salome on the fucking brain recently, lads. And the story of Salome combines everything that I love. It has an opera from Strauss, the good Strauss, not fucking Johann Blue Danube waltz shit. Richard Strauss, the good shit. It has an Irish writer. It has the French language, and it can be tied back to Belfast. And it also has a big stinking fucking flute solo in it. It's everything I want. This episode is going to be so much fun. So we're going to do everything about this, everything I love about this story. I've got the book with me. I've got this book that you all fucking hate. Only Americans don't get this book, do you, for your orchestral test pieces? The Orchestra Probespiel piece from Peter's edition. Great book. I think Americans get some... you get some shit over there. Anyway, we're going to talk all about Salome. You're going to learn everything about it, because you should know about this. If you're going to play that flute solo properly as a flute player, you should know all of this. And it's a fucking disgrace that people don't. And if you're not a flute player, you're in for a great story here. So, Salome is a biblical character. We're going to go right back to the Bible bit of it now. I'm not going to linger on this too long, because as you know, I'm hardly a fucking religious scholar. But the origin of Salome comes from the New Testament of the Christian Bible, primarily in Mark and Matthew. So Mark 6:17 to 29 and Matthew 14:3 to 11. Now here's the basic rules. You've got King Herod. You've all heard of King Herod. Bad old bastard, right? He's the ruler of Galilee. Fucking hell. I've been saying that a lot. I have a student called Galilee in French, and I can't read it properly. Anyway, look at me. Sorry, I was confusing it with the French in my head. Ooh, sorry, is that how you say that in English? Anyway, Herod, bad bastard. He's locked up John the Baptist. So John the Baptist is, as far as I understand it, could have researched this better, he's running around the Middle East telling everyone, oh, Jesus is coming. There's this fella, he's called Jesus. He's doing fucking mad stuff. He's, making blind people seeing, licking lepers or something. So John the Baptist is telling everyone this story, and King Herod finds him. He goes, who the fuck do you think you are? We're locking you up. Now, Herod's married to Herodias, who was Herod's brother Philip's wife. But then Herod had Philip killed, took his missus. Now, Herodias hates John the Baptist. Hates him. She has a grudge against him, and she wants him executed. But she knew that her husband Herod was afraid of John and hesitated because he sort of believed him to be like a religious, righteous man, and he was afraid to kill him. So at Herod's birthday banquet, Salome, who's the daughter of Herodias, not the daughter of Herod, the daughter of Herodias, although in the Bible, she's not called Salome, very important. She's named as a princess, but she's not called Salome in the Bible. But anyway, she comes out, she rocks up to the banquet, she does a bit of dancing for everybody, and that makes Herod very happy. And then Herod says to her, listen, sweetheart, you're a fucking brilliant dancer. You look the bizzo down there. I'll give you whatever you want, up to and including the value of half of my kingdom. And then Salome talks with her ma. She goes, Ma, what do you want here? And her ma goes, listen, just ask him to fucking chop the head off your man John. He is doing my fucking nut in. And she goes, here, I want the head of John. Herod goes, no fucking chance. Please don't ask for that. And she went, here, I want it. And he goes, well, I really prefer you didn't. And she went, Herod, I'm going to have to insist here. All right, daddy-in-law, I'm going to have to insist. I danced. I got my knackers out for you. I want his head. And he goes, right, fuck, fine. Good point, well made. Head's chopped off. And it's brought to Salome. She gets it on a platter and she gives it to her ma and goes, there you go, ma, happy Mother's Day. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Now, there's your biblical story, okay? Now, again, very important. She is not called Salome in the Bible, okay? Historians have added that later. Has anyone actually read the Bible, by the way? Like, properly read it? Like, I read it for this. It doesn't read like a story. Am I stupid for not believing that? Or not knowing that? I thought it was like in order, like I could just read it like a novel, but you have to jump between page and page and page. You get your favorite wee bit and then they're off somewhere and scene change, and then you have to come back to it. Man, it's hard to read, and it reminds me a little bit of Hemingway in the way it's written. It's very matter of fact, very few descriptive words, very quick. The story's over, not a page turner, but anyway. So anyway, this story is one of the most popular ones in the Bible, and it's been adapted by many artists. And the running theme of the art depiction of especially Salome, the character, was as a femme fatale, or a femme fatale. I don't even know how you pronounce that in English. Again, sorry, I only know the French. But a femme fatale, you've probably heard of that before. The femme fatale is an archetype that appears in all kinds of literature and movies as well. It's very, very, very popular in literature. It's basically, so the femme fatale is a sexy, mysterious, seductive woman who ensnares and entraps her lovers and then gets some brown bread. Fucking. There's actually 4 types of femme fatale archetypes as well. There's the Diana femme fatale, Venus femme fatale, Amazon femme fatale, and Sappho. Okay, and each of the 4 have a different way of how they go about punishing men, essentially. So Diana, for example, tends to use her intelligence and her independence, does a lot of fighting. Wonder Woman is the Diana archetype of femme fatale. That's why her actual name is Diana as well, the character. The Venus one uses her beauty and her sexuality to get what she wants. So you're thinking of someone like Catherine in Cruel Intentions. The Amazon is feminine and masculine. okay? She fights, she's rebellious, she's risque, bit of an all-rounder. That's kind of like the overall fucking superwoman kind of idea. Sappho is the normal one, okay? So Sappho, all a Sappho wants is to be left the fuck alone, okay? Ambitious as fuck, smart as fuck, but her main concern is to go and just live her life the way she wants and everyone can just fuck off. So she's often admired just as much as she is perceived to be a threat. People love her. And in that sense, she's considered normal or as close to real life. So anyway, fuck's sake, right, back to Salome. My brain's getting pulled all over the gaff here. So Salome as a character has popped up everywhere, from paintings to literature to opera. There's even a film. There's a film called, I think it's called Salome, with Rita Hayworth in 1953. Actually a decent watch. It's on YouTube. It's long for a 50s film, but it's actually a fucking good watch. Rita Hayworth. She does look well, they've hired her. Now, there's also another opera besides the Strauss one, which we're going to be talking about today. There's another opera on the story of Salome by Massenet, Jules Massenet, who wrote Thais and all that kind of stuff. A lot of famous, incredible, but very known in the opera world, not so well known outside of it. Which is why a lot of flute players, if you haven't played in an opera orchestra, you're probably not that familiar with Massenet. You'll know the Méditation from Thais, but that's it. But he wrote a Salome opera. It's not called Salome, it's called Hérodiade, which is the Herod's wife. In French, it's called Hérodiade, and it's the same story. It's a fucking class opera. But we're not here to talk about that today, everybody. We are here to talk about other things. So I'm going to take your hands. I'm going to hold your wee hands. I'm going to walk you down the garden path here. I'm going to bring you along my thought process in Salome, because I fucking love everything about this. And it's amazing it's taken me 105 episodes to do this specific thing. But you need to follow me. You need to let me give you your hand, because there's going to be a flute solo at the end of this, and I'm going to play the flute phrase at the end. That's how fucking special this is. So hold on with me. But first, along this trail of Salome, we're going to take a wee stop in Ireland, obviously. But before we do that, just quickly, regular listeners of this podcast, you know what's about to happen here. If you are a new listener to the podcast, can you please give me your ears for just a little minute? The Inline G podcast is free, and it always will be free. That is a motherfucking guarantee. However, if you wish to donate to the podcast, you can tell this is live. You can now do so through the Patreon. On the screen now is the address, and for the audio listeners, it is patreon.com/the Inline G Flute Podcast. It costs $5 a month, okay? With that, you're keeping the podcast alive. I do everything on this podcast: audio design, video design, graphic design, production, recording, script writing, travel to meet artists, contacts. Every fucking aspect of this is 100% done by me. It is the definition of a small independent podcast. I love it. It's my baby. It is now being used for academic research as well. I know many teachers across the world that are now recommending this podcast to their students as a source of information. I'm sorry. Take that up with your teachers, all right? Don't fucking talk to me. But if you've been told, by the way, come and tell me. Let me know who recommended the podcast. I'm always curious how you get your ears to it. But anyway, it's now the biggest flute podcast in the world, and there are no sponsors on this podcast, and nor will there fucking be. Because every time I try to get a sponsor, they say, no, you can't talk about this, you can't swear, you can't tell Donald Trump to go fuck himself. I like to. So, this podcast is 100% listener funded. The biggest flute podcast in the world. I would also say it brings in more revenue than any other flute podcast. Is 100% listener funded. That is fucking class. It is from you. You guys are supporting it. So basically, you don't get extra episodes. I'm sorry. I really believe that the entire Inline G podcast should be available as a resource for everybody for free. So what do you get? If you sign up to it, you're supporting the podcast. Basically, if you listen to every single episode in the month, which is 4 because it comes out every Friday, come rain or fucking shine, and you think, fuck, I enjoyed those 4 episodes, that's 4 hours of entertainment, I'd buy Gareth a pint to say thank you. There's your $5, okay? You're keeping it alive. That's it. It's a soundness. If you can afford to do it, and it's $5 or €5 a month, you can unsubscribe at any time without any weird costs, okay? You can jump in for a month and then jump out, okay? So if you can afford it, it is massively appreciated. It really is. It really, really keeps this podcast going. Without the patrons, we'd be out of here. I couldn't do this for fucking 105 weeks straight. I'd be in the pub. So if you can afford it, please do. If you can't afford it, you're a student, you're an artist, times are hard, cost of living crisis, Israel's about to blow up the fucking world. It's fine. You can listen for free. Someone who can afford to pay is paying so that you can listen for free. It is a system based on kindness and on soundness. Thank you. So, Ireland. So, we're going to start in Dublin, but we will get to Belfast. Okay, I've made it a goal on this podcast that every fucking episode we're going to talk about Belfast, and today is no such exception. I will tell you that, because we're fucking doing it. I am homesick, lads. I am homesick as fuck. It's about the time of year I go back to Ireland. I'm planning to go back at the end of August, but fuck, I am missing home now. I'd love a wee trip over to just drink a fucking pint of harp. Fuck. Anyway, I often talk with people who love the Strauss opera. Okay, and we're going to talk more in depth about that. The Strauss opera, the Salome opera by Strauss. Okay, people love it. It's very, very popular. But a lot of them, even people who have played it, don't know that the text is written. It's not the biblical story. It's not from the Bible. It's a direct translation of the play by Oscar Wilde. It's a direct translation. Okay, it's the Oscar Wilde version. It's not any other version. It's not the biblical one. The Wilde version is different. I'm a huge Oscar Wilde fan. Huge. I've read everything he's ever written. I used to go visit his grave in Père Lachaise Cemetery in Paris all the fucking time. I was there that long ago that they hadn't put the plexiglass up yet, because people used to get up and kiss the tombstone, and the tombstone was covered in like lipstick. And then the Wilde family have been spending a lot of money keeping it up, and they put up plexiglass to stop it. But it's a beautiful, beautiful grave, and I used to go all the time. I went before my biggest audition I ever did in my life for my conservatoire. I went there that morning to have a wee word with Oscar. I'm such a wanker, but I loved it. It was like a connection to another Irish guy in Paris. If you ever go to Paris, go to Père Lachaise. Who else is there? Jim Morrison from The Doors is there. Poulenc is there for the flute players. Edith Piaf, Rossini, although his body isn't there anymore. I don't think they moved the body. Donizetti is there. Bellini. It's a great place. Brilliant. Go see him. But anyway, he's Irish. And a lot of people don't know he's Irish. This drives me mad. So Oscar Wilde's full name is Oscar Fingal O'Flaherty Willis Wilde. Like, Jesus Christ, it's the most Irish fucking name in the world. Also, I'm convinced that that's where J.K. Rowling got the idea for Dumbledore. I can't remember Dumbledore's middle names, but it is like Albus, Percival, Wolf, Brian, Dumbledore. And it's like the same like rhythm, and there's that one funny one. Willis being the funny one here because it's Fingal O'Flaherty Willis Wilde. Everything else is super Irish. Willis, not so much. Anyway, fuck J.K. Rowling. She's a wanker. But people forget that Oscar is Irish, because he did leave Ireland at 18 to go to England. He studied at Oxford University, and then he kind of lost his Irish accent as he tried to sort of climb that social ladder in Victorian England, where back in those days, in Victorian England, an Irish accent would have got you nowhere. And he did climb the ladder and became like the talk of Victorian society when he was there. And he never set a single one of his works in Ireland. They were always set in England or somewhere else, but they were never set in Ireland. But he did once say, he's quoted as saying, "We Irish are too political." I'm going to say that again because I want to clip this. I'm going to try that again. Here you go, Gareth. "We Irish are too poetical to be poets. We are a nation of brilliant failures, but we are the greatest talkers since the Greeks." That's so fucking true. We're brilliant at talking. We're great at podcasting, I'll tell you that. By the way, you should get a book with Oscar Wilde's quotes. Fucking brilliant. The most quotable man in the world. And his oxymorons, not fuck. Brilliant. Anyway, Wilde was born in Dublin. But he went to school in, drum roll please, you guessed it, near Belfast. Not Belfast. But he went to school in Enniskillen, which is not far from Belfast. My granny's from Enniskillen, okay? That tells you how close it is. Now, Wilde wrote one novel in his entire career. People don't know this. He only wrote one fucking novel, and that is, of course, The Picture of Dorian Gray, but he wrote a lot of plays, a lot of poetry. Most of Wilde's writing is very light, very witty, very clever, okay? It's funny. It's sort of a scathing commentary on the state of the social hierarchies within Victorian England, but so brilliantly, wittily done. For example, the importance of being earnest. Fucking brilliant. The twist of Ernest being the name. Brilliant. Spoiler alert, but I mean, it came out 150 years ago. Fucking wake up. Lady Windermere's Fan. Brilliant. One of the best. You can read these plays. They're brilliant. There is the odd serious stuff that Wilde wrote, but that tends to be at the end of his life after he got out of prison. So we're talking things like De Profundis or the Ballad of Reading Gaol. So, yes, Oscar Wilde was in prison. Do we all know what he was in prison for? I'm sure we do, but in case you don't, he was in prison for being gay. Now, the official charge was gross indecency, I think, but it was illegal to be gay. He was pardoned long time later, like way after he was dead, which is no fucking use to him anyway. But the case against him was brought by the Marquess of Queensberry because Oscar Wilde was having a relationship with his son, Lord Alfred Douglas. Back in those days, lads, you could have got away with being gay, you just didn't fucking tell anyone. Everyone knew, but you didn't make a thing of it. But if someone brought it to court against you and they could prove it, you were fucked. And that's what happened because the Iron Marquis didn't like Oscar riding his son, Lord Alfred Douglas. Now, remember that name, by the way. Hold that in your brains. So Wilde went to prison for 2 years in Reading. That's where the Ballad of Reading Gaol was written. Gaol also spelt in the Irish way, Gaol. Beautiful. And when he got out, he moved to Paris. And that's where he was fucked. You know, he had a couple of years left him. He had a lot of fun in Paris, more than people think he did. But he essentially went into exile, got very fat, and died a couple of years later on the Rue des Beaux-Arts, which is actually not far from the Galway pub, which is one of my favourite places in Paris. And I think he died on either the 20th of November or the 30th of November. It's one day away from my birthday. I always remember that. And he died in a place called L'Hôtel, the hotel, where I've had lunch, and it's a 2-star Michelin restaurant. Fucking brilliant. I actually got a gift around that time where I did a walking tour of Paris with Wilde's great-great-grandson. And it was all in French, and I didn't have a fucking word of French at the time, which was useless. But anyway, it was great, and the food was amazing. So that's when he wrote all this sad, heavy stuff, Oscar. When he got out of prison, he was fucking heartbroken. He'd lost the love of his life. He lost his wife, who he deeply loved as well, even though he was gay. He still was very much in love with her. He lost everybody. He went into exile. And for such a social man, that was very difficult. So he wrote all these heavy things. And it was all post-prison, except for one work. His one-act play, Salome, published in 1893, was pre-prison. Now, the play was written in French. Oscar spoke excellent French, and he wrote it. Now, I have a book here. This is the bilingual version. So when you open it up, you can see it's all written one side in French and the English translations on the other. Now, Oscar preferred it in French, and he only wrote it in French. He never translated it to English himself, and he didn't like it in English. He approved the translation, and one translation only was approved by Oscar, and that was by Lord Alfred Douglas, the prick who got him locked up in jail in the end. Because Oscar pitied him because he was a second-rate writer, and it gave him some work to do. So did Oscar really approve his translation, or was he just trying to get the ride? We'll never know. But that translation is the standard. That's the one that's in this book as well. I got this in France. It's the Flammarion editions. Yeah, it's shit. But here, that's it. Now, I've actually marked a few bits because Oscar's French is beautiful. And the English translations just don't work. Translation is an important thing in this play when we get to the opera. So the very, very first line, the first spoken line of the play is... In English, it's the young Syrian who's a guard watching over John the Baptist. And he says, "How beautiful is the Princess Salome tonight?" Now in French, it says, "Comme la Princesse Salome est belle ce soir." That is so much more pretty. And the next line is, Herodias's page, like her personal assistant essentially, says, "Look at the moon, how strange the moon seems. She is like a woman rising from a tomb. She is like a dead woman. One might fancy she was looking for dead things." That's very beautiful. I get that. But in French, if you understand French, great. If you don't, you're fucked. But in French, it's "Regardez la lune. La lune a l'air très étrange. On dirait une femme qui sort d'un tombeau. Ressemble à une femme morte. On dirait qu'elle cherche des morts." It's fucking sexy. And the play is fucked, okay? And this is a common thing of the moon being strange. The moon changes colour in Wilde's play as well. It goes from white to red when there's going to be death. There's one line here, "Look how strange the moon looks, like the hand of a dead woman who is seeking to cover herself with a shroud." And then, "Oh, comme la lune a l'air étrange." Same thing. "On dirait la main d'un mort qui cherche à se couvrir avec un linceul." It's so... it's actually giving me the fucking willies reading it now. It's so unsettling, the play. So unsettling. It's so dark and erotic and fucked. Now, essentially, one of the big differences between the biblical story and Wilde's version is that there is a sexual element between Salome and John the Baptist, who's called Yochanan, okay? Because there's theories, everyone in the play is wondering, is that really John the Baptist, or is it just some crazy guy who's pretending to be him? And John the Baptist just says a load of shit the whole time. Says weird shit, which Herodias thinks is against her. And she's like, "Make him fucking shut up. He's slabbering about me. He's fucking saying things about me." But Herod's like, "He's not talking about you. Sure, he didn't even say your fucking name." And she's like, "You know he's talking about me, dickhead." But he never gives it away. So Salome fancies John the Baptist, but then hates him, and then fancies him and hates him, and blah, blah, blah. It's very erotic. And when she first sees Yochanan, she says, "I will kiss thy mouth, Yochanan. I will kiss thy mouth." But even in the way the words leave the mouth and the rhythm and the structure, "I will kiss thy mouth, Yochanan. I will kiss thy mouth." Je baiserai ta bouche, Yochanan. Je baiserai ta bouche. That's... In French, it just works. It just sounds better in French. You know, there's some mad stuff in this. Now, one of the big things as well is there's a common theme within this of Herod hearing these giant beating wings. He's like, I hear the wings. Do you not hear those wings? These large beating wings. They sound like the wings of death. The whole thing is insanity. Every character feels like they're going insane. It's got this rhythm that is relentless as you read through it. You can read Salome in like an hour. 60 minutes of your time, you will read this entire play. Okay? It's that quick. Go and fucking do it. It's got this relentless desperation. It keeps running and it's got that to it. And it's insanity. It's very angular. It's very If you can read French, read it in French, because Oscar's French is a little bit off. It's a little bit funny. It's got a kind of a unique flavor about it, but that's kind of the best thing about it. So anyway, key points to sum up from the Wilde play. Salome, at the end, she wants to get John the Baptist or Yuccanan's head. It's not for her mother anymore. She wants it for her. There's a heavy sexual element. She kisses the head at the end as well. King Herod is also attracted to Salome, which is his niece and now his adopted daughter. And there's a lot of things throughout it about how desiring someone too much will cause death. It will bring bad things. The young Syrian at the start who says, Regardez la princesse Salome, elle est belle ce soir, and he's looking at her. His mate is like, don't look at her. Bad things are going to happen if you look at her. And then he ends up killing himself after like fucking 2 pages. Right, spoiler alert. Because he fancies her so much. It happens a lot, okay? It does not feel like Oscar Wilde. If you've read anything else by Oscar Wilde, this is a different... There's not a fucking joke in this book. It's heavy and dark and it's amazing. If you think... I'm trying to compare it. If you think of like Mozart, Oscar Wilde and Mozart are very similar in many ways. This is like Mozart's Requiem or Mozart's D minor piano concerto. It's that like exceptional thing that is dark, but so perfectly dark. And then he's back to being the happy man again. So one of the people who did love it a lot was one of my favorite composers, Strauss. The good Strauss. We've talked about this before. Johann Strauss, who wrote all the waltzes, and his daddy as well, he wrote the waltzes. Fucking shit. Shit. I cannot stand the fucking Blue Danube. Or the Badetsky March or anything that's played by that fucking prick, André Rieu. It's not music. It is dog shit, okay? It's absolute filth. And if you like it, you're wrong. But Richard Strauss, totally different ballgame, okay? Amazing pieces, okay? The two highlights of Richard Strauss's output for me are two of his operas, and that is Salome and Electra. Salome is my favorite opera ever. Strauss's Salome is amazing. So one, it's because it's Strauss, so it's fucking class. We are talking late Romanticism, okay? Very late Romanticism. It's heavy as fuck. It's a big, big, big orchestra. There's over 100 musicians in the orchestra, 3 flutes, all this. It's fucking heavy. It is directly based on the Wilde play. It's got a fucking stinking flute solo in it. It's also short, okay? There's no break-in, there's no intermission in Salome. It's a one-act thing, and it's done in like an hour and 40 minutes, which you can even watch on YouTube. It's great. You know, it's the perfect length to sit at home and drink a bottle of wine. An hour and 40 minutes, great. It's a match of football, including halftime. Grand. Now it is in German, okay? The libretto / words are done by a guy called Hedwig Lachmann. Hedwig, yeah, this is in the fucking all. That's 2 Harry Potter references in one fucking episode. I'm a fucking turf now. Do I hate women now? Man, fuck J.K. Rowling. But anyway, the German is translated from... I need to get to this pub, lads. The German is translated from Oscar Wilde's French, okay? There is a French version of the opera by Strauss, okay? You got Romain Rolland, who was a musicologist in Paris, and he did a libretto, a text that would work to be as close to Wilde's original French, which actually means when you listen to the French version of Salome done by Strauss again, the score is different. He changed some parts of the score to make sure it suited French more. So the music is actually different. The score is different. Now, it's rarely done in French, which I don't understand because it sounds so much fucking better in French. But it's the standard to do it in German, and that's that. The most recent version I've heard of it is Isa Dreisig, who I'm a massive fan of. I'm not a massive fan, actually, that's a lie. I like her. I'm not a massive fan. That's strong because she does my tits in sometimes, but she's a great singer. She recorded parts of it on one of her most recent albums. I think it was called Miroir. If you put in Elsa Dreisig, I'll say it without the accent. Elsa, like the fucking queen from Frozen, and Dreisig. Stick her into Spotify, you'll get her doing a bit of Salome in French. Now, it's going to come as no surprise to you, but this opera was banned a lot, okay? It's religious, It's murderous and it's erotic. There is no fucking chance of that getting played anywhere. Now, one of the big reasons for that is one particular scene, the Dance of the Seven Veils. Now, in the Wilde original, it's a line in the play. They're talking, and then there's a little stage instruction that says, Salome dances the Dance of the Seven Veils, and then back into it. Obviously, on stage, it's a whole big thing. It's a dance she does to please Herod, which again in Wilde has an erotic and attraction element to it. Now, for Strauss, it's the big moment of the play. Now, basically, the idea is if Salome gets 7 veils brought to her by her assistants, she dances at the banquet and she takes off these veils and then she gets more and more naked as it goes on. And by the end, she's in her fucking birthday, so bollock buck naked. Now, actually, when they do this in opera, they do the dance, and the person playing Salome will get fucking nude. Well, they get all their clothes off. But usually, because there's no singing involved in it, it's just a dance, they'll get someone else and they'll get a dancer in to do it, and they'll get their ditties out. So it's banned in a lot of places. Actually, still, if you want to go see it in Munich and places like that, it's got an age warning on it, which it fucking should. You should not be bringing children to Salome. It's incredibly dark and there's baps in it, okay? But yeah, we are in Europe. Mahler himself was in charge of the Vienna Opera, the Vienna State Opera. He wanted it so badly to be played there, but they wouldn't let him play it. They said, no, it's banned. 20 years before it got there. So the Austrian premiere was actually done in Graz. And in the audience at the time for the Austrian premiere was Mahler, Schoenberg, Berg, and Puccini, all sitting down there, all the boys sitting there together, lock of fucking wines in them, a couple of fucking white wine shawlas, getting it in, looking at some baps. It's like a strip club, but back in the 1900s. All the boys, man. And the opera, again, it's insane. Okay, the orchestra is the main thing of this. It's a massive orchestra. It's over 100 people. It's the star of the show. The orchestra is worked. 4 flutes. Even has a heckle phone. If anyone's ever heard of that? I fucking haven't. I've played this opera. I didn't know there's a fucking heckle phone in it. It's some kind of weird instrument, like between an oboe and a saxophone, I think. I don't know if we always use it. If it's been in it, I've never even fucking noticed. But apparently it's in the score. And the whole opera starts with this big slinky clarinet solo. Now, there's a lot of themes of Orientalism, which you can't say, by the way, don't worry. A lot of themes of Orientalism in this opera, and that's expressed by Strauss in the sort of structure and the scales used. There's a lot of weird notes to give it that kind of feeling, which I'm going to talk about. The music is so complex and rich and it's like a religious experience going to see Salome. Electra has the same effect. Unbelievable. Even if you've never seen an opera in your life, go and watch Salome. Stick a version on YouTube. Go in, Salome opera. It's an hour and a half. Fuck's sake. Squid Game. That's an episode and a half of Squid Game, and it's fucking better. I don't like the new season of Squid Game. I haven't finished yet. I don't think it's very good. But anyway, it's amazing. It has leitmotifs the whole way through, which are like these little ideas that pop up, these musical ideas to represent the character. Strauss also uses them for emotions and feelings and settings, not just characters. But the big moment in the whole thing, especially musically, is the Dance of the Seven Veils. That's the big the big fucking centerpiece of the entire thing. It's not the very end, but it's close to the end. And as music, it's very heavy, very rich, dramatic, fucking aggressive. And the tension that Strauss builds up to this moment, it's unbelievable. Honestly, it's unbelievable. The Dance of the Seven Veils is often performed as a standalone concert piece by orchestras. It's that fucking good. It lasts like 10 minutes. It's not that long. And within this Dance of the Seven Veils is the flute solo. The flute solo, which I'm going to get the music up for now. So it pops up pretty early on, the flute solo. It's not too far in. Now, if you've got this book, you'll have used it before. There's a lot of Strauss in here. There is stuff from Till Eulenspiegel, Verklärung, sorry, terrible Germany, and Sinfonica Domestica. But Salome is on the next page, and it's often got both flute parts in it because there's a lot of flute going on. But the start of this solo, this isn't the solo, but the start of this book has actually a bit from earlier on in the opera, but the Dance of the Seven Veils comes up next. It's actually called Salome's Dance here, but it's Dance of the Seven Veils. Now, we're going to talk about this, okay, a little bit, because I'm going to give you some tips on how to play it. I don't play on this podcast very often. I'm going to. First of all, we talked about Orientalism. Orientalism? Jesus Christ, I need to slow down that drink. Orientalism. Now, it starts with a scale, which starts in an E flat and ends up in an E natural. That's very strange for a scale in itself. Now, the notes of the scale, we listen to this carefully. You hear how weird that is? If it ended on an E flat, I feel like it would sound a bit more normal, but the E natural just really kicks you in the hole, doesn't it? That'd be normal. Or it has a more major feel to it, but that E natural just it's dirty and expressive. And, I love it. Now, my general approach to this, okay, is you're playing Strauss. Extreme dynamics, okay? When it's loud, you play fucking loud. When it's quiet, you play fucking quiet. You push it. Vibrato, extreme. Switch it on to its fucking max. What's that Spinal Tap thing? Turn it up to 12? Fuck. That's the second time I don't know that in this podcast. What is that Spinal Tap reference? Anyway, something about 12. Fucking crank it up, or use it in some notes and take it away entirely. But you need to play with every expressive tool you have in your box. Grow up. You need to use in this solo. You need to push it, okay? Now, one small thing I will talk about, it's hyper-expression, okay? We're in late romanticism, hyper-expression. The one thing I'd be careful of, and Emmanuel Bayou says the same thing, and I'm going to contradict myself anyway by playing you my favorite recording, which does this thing that I don't like. But one thing I don't like is when this scale starts, don't use rubato on the first few notes. Play the first few, especially the first 3 notes, in time, okay? Because the way the orchestra goes is they have this dum, dum, bum, bim, bum, ba-da-dim. It has this bum, bim, bum, ba-da-dim. And that ba-da-dim is on the last beat of each bar, and we start on that beat. So when it gets to dum, bim, bum, 1, 2, 3, that 1, 2, 3, our first 3 notes of the scale fit with that. So dum, dim, dum, da-da-dim. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun. And then you're away. So I think you should join in with that. I don't, some people do the whole, which I love. I do love, but to fit with the orchestra, or you can slow down a little bit, landing on the E natural, which is nice stuff. Just my little bit of advice, okay? Now, you got these lovely big long notes as well. Milk them dry. This E natural, okay? If I give it its full length. And then you're away again, okay? Those big long notes, don't just leave them sitting there. Crescendo, diminuendo. Change the color, change the vowel sound in your mouth, turn the vibrato up, turn it back down, fucking do something with them. Not a single second of music in this solo can be without expression. You need to fucking go at it. And insanity, we talked about that theme earlier of insanity within the Wilde version and especially the opera then. It's got an angular feel to it. It sort of pushes and pulls. It's not super fluid. It's got these beautiful fluid moments and then it just cuts and then it goes back. Like that beautiful scale to start the it's very nervous, it's very agitated. You need to play with that. You need to understand the character of what's going on here and then fucking stick it in your playing. And then you get this beautiful coherence between your understanding, Oscar Wilde, Richard Strauss, and it all just mwah. So the last thing is a recording. Okay, there's loads of great ones. I really recommend go and watch the opera and read the book. It will change your life. It's that good, Salome. But what I will say is, for the flute solo itself, there's one version I'm going to recommend. I think I've done it before in this podcast. Stick in Dance of the Seven Veils. On Spotify, you'll get this version. It's by the Berlin Philharmonic, conducted by Herbert von Karajan, of course. It's an album. It's got like a picture of a moon, like a space cover. And it's mainly the Thus Spoke Zarathustra, or So sprach Zarathustra, on the cover. But it's got at the end like a little bit of Till speak and stuff. But the very last track is the Dance of the Seven Veils. So it's just a standalone thing. The flute solo starts at like 57 seconds. I'm going to play a little bit of it. See what you can recognize here. Also listen to the rubato at the start of the scale because it's exactly what I don't recommend. But it's gorgeous. Now, if you know anything about the flute, that is one of the few flute players that you go straight away, I know who that is. We know who that is. So that's how to end this podcast. I have brought this back to Belfast because the flute player there is, of course, who else would it be but Jimmy Galway. From Belfast, greatest flute player of all time, my fucking hero, and there's no better version. And again, don't do the rubato thing. I hate it, except for when James Galway does it. And only Jimmy can do it. He gets away with it, but you're not him, neither am I. Thank God for that, huh? So lads, ladies, all in between, go get dirty. Go listen to it. Go fill your weekend with Salome. I've got nothing else to say. I'm out of this fucking pub, alright? Bisous, slan, tschüss, mwah.
Get your man the flute to play song, the fuck.
Pints for crocky, heart the druids.